All right, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? It is Tuesday evening. That means we are live talking about health and fitness. As always, don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed to this channel. Today, we're talking about fat loss without sacrificing your health. There's a lot of different ways to lose fat. We're going to talk about some of them, mostly using my experience and the things that I've tried and experimented with. Okay. But like I said, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the bell so you're notified every time I come out with a new video. I try to do lives every Tuesday evening. And then sometime during the week, I may throw something else out there. Most importantly, please share this information with somebody you know or love. Um, Information is power, and we want to give people the power and the opportunity to make changes in their lives so they can enjoy a better quality of life. Okay. This question came up. Uh, you're glad I shaved, Yvette? It was an experiment. It was absolutely an experiment. I've always had a hard time growing facial hair. So it came in to a degree enough that I felt like I wanted to try it and keep it for a while and see how it went. I will say that you are not the only person who has mentioned that they're glad that I shaved. I'll just say. Uh, so I figured I'm going to all these conferences between now and July. I've got like 3 or 4 different conferences and trips that I'm taking where I'm speaking or doing stuff. And I wanted to be a little more professional, presentable, friendly, approachable, all that kind of stuff. So I figured I'd take the facial hair off and be my normal self. So here I am. We're talking about losing fat today because I'm doing an experiment, and it was brought up in the conversation of my posts on social media that I'm doing an experiment that is different than what I work with a lot of people in how I work with people and how I work with people normally. Okay, so normally I work with people. I'm more of a protein focused um, and lower moderate fat methodology. What I'm doing right now for myself is I'm experimenting with a different way of doing it where I'm doing much higher fat, lower protein than I normally would do to try to see if I can get to a body composition with some different effects in my life and how it impacts my life. And that's the biggest thing I want you guys to start this discussion with is understanding, okay? Is there are a million different ways to make changes to your lifestyle that are going to impact not just your health, but your quality of life, your routine, your mental outlook, the things that you have to focus on, how you make changes, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Every time you want to make a change, you have to evaluate all the different areas it could affect things. Okay. And you're going to see what I'm talking about as we go through the list. There's three main things we're going to talk about in structuring your macros to lose fat. Okay. How you structure your macros have an effect on your body and how your quality of life is impacted. Okay. Then we're going to talk about the last thing, which is fasting and how that plays a role into all of this. Okay. Because these are I'm holding up 5 fingers, 4 things that I've played around with. So one of the things that I like to do as a coach, you guys have heard me talk before about experimenting and doing stuff. It's so we can have conversations like this. And I'm not speaking out of theory. I'm speaking from my experience and the things that I've done myself and what I've done and worked with other people to do as well. Okay. So um, the things that I want you to keep in mind if you're going to try any of these, or if you've tried any of these and you understand, you may have experienced some of these things yourself. Okay. The impact on your quality of life. Um, the things that we're going to be talking about are energy level, performance, hormones. Okay. Maintaining lean mass, maintaining metabolic function. Okay. All of these types of things will change and vary based on the way that you decide you want to burn fat. Okay. Lose body fat and what you're focused on in the effort to lose body fat. Okay. Because number one, loss of body fat is never as effective and beneficial. It is never as beneficial to focus on losing body fat more than maintaining and improving metabolic function. That's the first thing I want you to understand about all of these things we're going to talk about for the next 30 minutes. Okay. If you are trying to lose fat and that is your focus, I want you to change your focus. Change your focus and think about, what am I going to do to help improve my metabolic function first? If I do that, because this is what you need to understand, if you improve your metabolic function, the fat loss will happen. You can lose fat without improving your metabolic function. Okay. And remember, your metabolic function equals your health. We do not want to make our health worse in an effort to lose fat. That's where a lot of people make mistakes. Okay. And that's where the first thing we're going to talk about comes into play, because it's what most people do. Move more, eat less, and you're going to lose weight. That is the number one most common solution that everybody gets told. Okay. It's all about calories in, calories out. If you eat less, you're going to lose fat. You're going to lose weight. Okay. And that is absolutely true. If you eat less, you're going to lose weight. Okay. No matter what anybody tells you, and anybody in the keto space. Okay. And this is where things get really confusing, because on one hand, you're going to hear me say calories matter. Calories from fuel matter, because there's a nuance there that too many people don't talk about. Fuel calories matter, total calories don't. Okay. Calories matter. It's all about fuel. Fat is excess fuel. Okay. Excess fuel, i.e., body fat, can come from carbs or fat. If you eat too much carbs, if you eat more carbs than you utilize, you're going to have excess body fat. If you eat more fat than you utilize, you're going to have more body fat. Okay. Fuel is fuel is fuel is fuel. It does not matter where it comes from. If you don't use it, it will get stored. Period. Okay. So that's where the struggle and the challenge is when we talk about calories in, calories out. You can lose body fat, you can lose weight, just not eating as much, or eat the same as you normally would, and work more and burn more off, and you will lose weight. Okay. Here's the problem with that. Doing it that way creates a cycle of metabolic function and then metabolic dysfunction. And then you have to go through the whole idea of deficits and surpluses, and um, cutting and bulking, and then going into a period of lean, and then going into a period of needing to refeed to reestablish a healthy metabolism. It's a cycle of up and down. You are never able to maintain and be consistent, and your hormones and your metabolic function just get completely jacked, because you're going through a period of basically starving yourself in order to lose weight, right? And then you have to jam food in your face in order to get back to a level of metabolic function that makes sense. But when you do that, two things happen. Two negative things happen on both ends of those spectrums. This is where caloric deficit, as a generalized, oversimplified solution, has problems. Okay. On the deficit side, when you're trying to lose weight, you have to starve yourself of nutrients, you reduce your fuel, and reduce protein to the point where you lose metabolic function. You destroy your hormones and you reduce your health. You're starving yourself. That's the problem with caloric deficit in general. Okay. When you talk about total calories, which is what most people talk about when they say just eat less. Okay. When you go on the other side, you say, okay, I've starved myself for long enough. I've gotten to the weight that I want to be at. Now I need to maintain. I need to restore my metabolic function. Okay. I need to get my BMR back up. I need to refeed, whatever the term is. Okay. What happens then when you're talking about total calories is now you're introducing not just more protein and more of the things that your body needs to restore its metabolism, but because you are not managing where that food is coming from, in most cases, it's not a whole food focus. It's not a low carb focus. When we talk about general calories, standard American diet, what most people in health and fitness are doing, IIFYM, all that kind of stuff, you are also introducing inflammation and added things that reduce your body's ability to absorb nutrients, that reduce your body's ability to recover. And even though you're getting more calories, you're not getting more nutrition. Okay. So what happens is you get bigger and you gain all the weight back without necessarily gaining back all the metabolic function. It's a two-edged sword. Okay. Calories in, calories out will effectively help you lose weight and gain weight. That is not at all the same as losing fat and gaining health. Very, very different things, guys. Okay. Heather's asking a question. Have you talked about gaining muscle, not worried about fat loss in another video? It's purely calories, protein, and question mark. I'm not sure, Heather, what you're asking in that question. Have I talked about gaining muscle? Yes, there. I do have a couple of videos specifically on how to gain muscle. If you look in the, it's probably some are probably in the nutrition and some are probably in my fitness playlists. Okay, take a look at that. Joy saying, I noticed that my calories were around 1,100 if I just went off the macros for the challenge. So I have to go over on the protein. You don't have to go over on the protein, but there's nothing wrong with that, right? Calories really don't play a role when we're talking about focusing on grams in the way that we do things here. Okay. All right. So that's the first. And don't get me wrong, Joy. I'm not saying don't go over protein. You can have all the protein you want. You know how I feel about protein. All right, so that's number one. That's the first way I thought we had to do it, right? That's yes, definitely not just taking in calories. We're going to talk about two other ways to do it, and that's what we're getting into. Calories in, calories out. That's what I always knew. When I first heard about carnivore, I was introduced to the idea that maybe, just maybe, there was a way for me to improve my metabolic function, improve my BMR, gain lean mass, but not gain fat at the same time. That's where the idea of going carnivore excited me. So as I learned more about that, what I started doing, this is the next thing that I did. So I went from calories in, calories out. My biggest frustration with calories in, calories out was I have to get weak to get lean, and then I had to get fat to get strong. Those were my two biggest things. I increased inflammation. I felt like crap, but I got strong. I had no energy, but I got strong, right? Or I lost performance. I lost strength, but I looked great. Did not like that. That back and forth of always starving and then stuffing and then starving and then stuffing, that back and forth. I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. Okay. So what I started to do was I got into carnivore. I started looking at, okay, higher protein. And almost immediately within weeks, I started noticing that I was losing fat, but I didn't seem to be losing muscle, right? I started doing body scans. My lean mass maintained. It increased. I started getting stronger after a couple months. My performance started getting better. All of the things that I was looking for started happening. Okay. So going to a much higher protein and a lower fat percentage, okay, totally much lower than normal ketogenic. Okay. Ketogenic, normally we're looking at 70% calories and fat. I started doing like 55% calories of fat and then 65 or so calories of protein. I did a lot of protein, much lower fat, and I loved it. Okay. I loved it. My performance increased, my composition increased, my strength increased, my recovery increased. Everything that I was looking for increased. Okay. As I got down to sub 10% body fat, I noticed one thing that made me start to struggle, and that was my energy just tanked. Okay. I don't know if it was just I had such a little amount of fat on my body and I wasn't eating enough. That's probably what it was. I was going super low. I was in the 50 to 60 range of fat. I was doing CrossFit. I was lifting. I was doing a lot of stuff. I don't think I was getting enough fat in. Okay. but I was super lean and I was stronger. Everything that I was looking for happened when I went super high protein. Okay. The main detractor to going super high protein. Okay. Couple things. The characteristics of going super high protein, super low fat. You're going to see your body composition change faster. Okay. You're going to maintain your BMR. You're going to maintain metabolic function in general. Okay. Because you're getting enough protein, you're getting all the things that you need. Okay. If you have a good amount of body fat, you're going to get the fat that you need from what you eat and from your body fat and combined. Okay. It's not until you get to super low body fat percentages where you may start running into an energy issue. Okay. What I didn't know then that I know now, which when I go back to this method and try it again, is with way more electrolytes. I didn't do as many electrolytes as I do now when I did this. Okay. So when I did high protein, low fat, my electrolytes were lower. I was in the 3 grams of sodium per range, 3 grams range per day. I'm in the 8 to 10 range now. Okay. So it's a very big difference what I'm doing now to what I was doing then. When I go back to starting the end of May, when I go back to higher protein, lower fat, I'll be doing a lot more electrolytes. We're going to see if that makes a difference on the energy side. Okay. High protein, low fat, you see faster results. You maintain lean mass, possible energy issues, possible hormonal issues if you go too low in fat. Okay. This is why for most people, this is what I base most of my methods and most of my protocols on is higher protein, lower fat. But I always try to caution people not to go too low in their fat intake because I don't want you to mess up your hormones. You need saturated fat, you need cholesterol, you need healthy fats in order for hormone function to operate properly, and we don't want to mess that up. Okay, so 70 grams ish on average is about as low as I want most people to go. Okay, if you are a competitor and you have something specific that you're trying to do with body composition, we can talk about going lower for short periods of time, but I don't like going under 70 grams for most people. Okay, 50 at the lowest, but on average, 70 grams is my limit. All right. Yes, Kathy, that's exactly it. We don't want to go super low in fat. Okay, 70 grams is the limit for most people. So that's the high fat or the high protein, low fat methodology. Okay, been there, done that. I loved it. Energy was my only problem there. Okay. The third option, the third thing that I'm testing now, I'm in my 7th month. I'm in the process of, I just started, I'm in the middle of my 7th month doing a cut that is continually lowering my protein. I'm currently at the lowest amount of protein per day that I've ever been at. Okay. And my fat is higher than I've ever done a cut at. Okay. So I'm currently at 135 grams of protein and 140 grams of fat per day. All right. So just to give you guys an idea, we know I usually base off of lean mass. My lean mass is 165. Okay. So my lean mass is 165. Based on my normal protocols, I would be at least 165 protein, 165 fat. Okay. I'm below that on both of those right now. All right. And my fat is higher than my protein, which is definitely not something that I normally do. And it's very uncomfortable for me. Okay. Um, now here's the deal. Here's the deal. It's working. Okay. Here's a couple of things to keep in mind. Okay. The difference between this and my normal methodology. Okay. It's much slower, much slower. It has to be much more controlled. Okay. Because the fuel is high. So the modifications and the management of how we drop that has to be tracked and be done much more progressively. Okay. If I'm just going to go high protein and lower fat, what I do, I just cut the fat to where I'm going to keep it and then just go. My body will adapt and I'll lose quickly to a point and then I can maintain from there. With this, because most of my calories are coming, most of my fuel is coming from what I'm eating, not from my body. I got to go slow. I got to slowly tailor it down. Um, I think we started at like we started off at like 200 protein and like 160 fat, and we've been going down. So when we started, I was higher protein because that's what I was used to. We worked me down till I was about 140, 140. And then this week was the first week after 6 months. This week was the first week where my protein was lower than my fat. Now, check this out. Overall, my total fuel intake, my total calorie intake has gone down from like 2,400, 2,300 to I'm at 1,800 calories a day right now. My total fuel intake has dropped, drop. Okay. Um, I've gone from almost 19% body fat to I'm at 9.9 right now. I've dropped about 10% body fat in 6 months. I have not lost, I take it back. From my earlier scans, I think I was at about 95 pounds of lean mass. I'm at 92 point something right now. So I've lost about 2.5 pounds of lean mass, skeletal muscle mass. Okay. So I've pretty much maintained lean mass throughout this whole process. Okay. Now, here's the deal. Unlike high protein, low fat, I have had no energy issues. My energy has been fantastic. And that's a combination of two things. One, I'm eating way more fuel, so I have the energy. And two, my electrolytes, like I said before, I've learned a lot about that since I did the first one, high protein, low fat. So my electrolytes are way higher. Okay, so I know that that's definitely playing a role in my energy. And I'm hoping that when I go back to the high protein, low fat, the electrolytes will make a difference there as well. Okay, so that's one variable I can't compare to when I did high protein, low fat, because I didn't have that when I did it. I have to try it again, more experiments. Okay. Now, here's where I'm getting to a point where there's a con to this. Okay. If you're going to notice, everything that we're doing, what I talked about at the beginning, everything that we do comes to a point where you have to balance, is what I'm doing beneficial to my goal, taking away from my quality of life? Where does this go? How far do I want to take it? And where's that balance of what I want to do? Okay. So right now, my goal was to go to the low carb keto cruise, which takes off on the 15th of May. And I wanted to get as far as I possibly could, as low body fat percentage as I could by the 15th of May for the cruise, doing it this method, doing a high fat, lower protein method. Okay. That's 5 weeks away. I'm at just under 10% body fat. And the last week and a half, okay, to almost 2 weeks, has been challenging, okay, to say the least, in the gym doing my workouts. My fitness is taking an impact. I feel weaker in the gym. My recovery seems to be taking longer. I'm sore for longer after a workout. When I go to do another workout, I don't feel like I have as much to give into that workout. Okay. I'm noticing that it's not just a strength. Okay. Like I've lost weight. I've lost about 10 pounds in this whole process. Okay. Because most of it's been fat, right? I've lost about 10% body fat, about 10 pounds of about 10 pounds. Yeah, I think I was almost 10 pounds. I was 185, 186, I think, when we started, and I'm at 177 right now. So I've lost some weight, but I haven't lost that much weight where it should make a huge difference in the strength that I have to apply to lifting weights. Okay. There is definitely a difference, but it shouldn't be that much of a difference, right? The bigger you are, the more weight you can move, that kind of concept. It's more on the energy that I have in the workout from the workout previous, right? What we call your maximum recovery volume. I feel like the amount of work that I can do and then recover from for the next workout is less. I feel sore. I just feel kind of beat up a little bit. It's just very different. And I'm attributing that right now, because I don't have anything else to go off of. I'm attributing that to the lower protein. I don't have as much material. I'm at the lowest intake of protein that I've been at in over 4 years. Okay. So my body is used to having more material to repair, recover, rebuild than it does now. So I have to make a decision. Do I drop my workout intensity down? Do I need to change and adjust my workout intensity, which is probably the answer? Okay. Because my goal is still 5 weeks away on how low can I get body fat percentage in the next 5 weeks. Okay. This is the decision. This is the challenge of deciding, okay, the method that I'm using is impacting this aspect of my life and my routine and what I want to do. Is that okay? Am I okay with that impact? Okay. So right now, high fat, low protein is working for the goal of body composition, but it's detracting from any goals that I may have had from a performance perspective. Okay. And because I set the goal and this is my focus, I have to be okay with that. That's hard. For me, if you guys know me, I'm all about performance. I'm all about quality of life and having physical freedom and being able to do things, right? It's hard for me to feel like I can't physically do something because of something else going on. Okay. So I have to be okay with that. I have to woosah and say, for the next 5 weeks, I'm not going to worry about performance as much. I know that I can get that back. And I do in my head. I know I can get that back. I'm going to maintain this plan and I'm going to see what I can do body composition wise. Okay. Because I'm at 9.9% right now. I want to see if I can get to 5% body fat in the next 5 weeks. I want to see if I can drop 1% more per week for the next 5 weeks. That's the goal. Okay. So that's basically a summation of the 3 different main ways to worry about body composition. Okay. When we talk about this, remember, we're talking about losing fat, but really what we're talking about is how do these 3 different ways, total calorie deficit, high protein, low fat, high fat, low protein, how do these 3 ways impact your ability to maintain and improve your metabolic health more than how does it help you lose fat? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, everybody. Okay. Because that's the goal. I want you to think about that perspective of it. Okay. If you're doing something that is not helping you improve your metabolic health, I don't care if it's going to help you lose fat or not, because that's not going to last. If you do something that is fat loss focused, you will always be doing something that is fat loss focused until you fix your metabolism. Fix your metabolism, and you'll never have to worry about fat loss again. Okay? Fix your metabolism, and you'll never have to worry about fat loss again. That's how it works. Okay? Let's see. We got a couple things here. Karen, eating eggs, or should we cut them out? I'm not sure why you would cut eggs out. Eggs are gold. Eggs are gold. Okay. Why is it the cut is so long? Because I started, so initially, so the cut is long because we want your body to adjust. So when you're doing it fuel based, right? I'm keeping the fuel higher than the protein. We don't want to just drop the fuel. That will mess up your metabolism as well. You have to stage it down in a way that your body can adapt as you go. You don't want to just drop it. Are you going to possibly coach people with this method? Yes. So Joy, um, essentially, when I work with people one-on-one, it's a little bit different. It's a kind of a combination, and this is where the individuality plays in. Okay. The individuality of managing your protein intake and your fuel intake, understanding, and this is why I do what I do when I do the one-to-one. Okay. One-to-one is a baseline, right? We start you off at a 1-to-1 ratio based off your lean mass. So if your lean mass is 150, you get 150 protein, 150 fuel, fat and carbs combined. Okay. From there, we see how your body reacts. What happens? Where do we go from there? If you want to increase your protein, you can increase your protein. If you need to drop your fuel down a little bit, you can drop your fuel down a little bit. So in the 1-to-1 methodology, it's kind of already built in. If you want to go higher fat, you can stay higher fat. 1-to-1 technically is higher fat. It's about 65% fat in your if you're doing it percentage calories. Okay. 1-to-1 is about 65%. So it's a moderate to higher fat protocol by itself. If you want to go lower fat, then you can do that within the 1-to-1 as because the 1-to-1, the baseline is just don't go fuel higher than your protein. Right. So that's basically what that is. So I kind of already do coach people in a combination of a balance between higher protein and higher fat. How do you fix metabolism? That's a really good question, Karen. You fix your metabolism um, in a couple different ways. It's real simple, actually. Stop eating crap. Eat things that are nutrient dense, bioavailable, and satiating. Exercise your body. Okay. And sleep. That's the next one. Rest. Okay. It's simple, guys. All of the things, if you're in the challenge, all of the things that we talk about in the challenge, all of the guidelines within the challenge, do that and you will fix your metabolism. If you guys watch any of my videos, you hear about the things that I talk about. Everything that I talk about from a nutrition and fitness perspective are things that will help you improve your metabolism. Okay. Your metabolism is the function of your body. So what you put into your mouth and how you improve your body's ability to function, fitness, those are the things that you can do to improve your metabolism. Okay. Nothing special, no hacks. You don't need biohacks. You don't need detoxes. You don't need red light therapy. You don't need cold baths. You don't need any of that stuff. Okay. Those things can be beneficial and they may have a place at some point in your journey. Okay. Um, get the basics down first. Okay. And the basics are eat food that your body can use and has a lot of nutrition. Eat food that's going to keep you full so that you don't overeat and get too much fuel. Okay. Work your body so that your body gets good at utilizing the protein and the fuel that you're giving it, the functional calories and the fuel calories. Okay. And then get good sleep and get good recovery so that your body can build and repair it like it needs to and it doesn't get overly stressed. Okay. That's it. Do those things and your life will change dramatically. All right. Shift work could be my issue because I only eat meat and eggs. There's a lot of things, Karen, without knowing all the specifics and maybe having a coaching call with you at some point in time. There's a ton of things that could be going on. The amount of stress in your life, the amount of sleep that you have in your life, and all those types of things could be affecting it. But Lisa, it really is simple. It really is, and I don't want to underplay the impact that it has because I know it's not always easy. There's a difference between simple and easy, and putting these things into practice can be a challenge. Okay, just understand that it doesn't have to be complicated. The more complicated you make it, and the more things you try to do all at once, the harder it's going to be. Okay, what you can do and how long you can maintain it are the two biggest things that will affect your progress. Okay. Make small changes, take bite-sized things that you can do and just stick with it. When that becomes normal and just the way that you live your life, then you can add something else. Don't try to jump into it and do a whole bunch of things at once. Okay. One thing at a time. Baby steps, guys. You got the rest of your life. It doesn't have to change overnight. Okay. All right. Speaking of which, the last thing we're going to talk about, right? We talked about calorie deficit. We talked about high protein, low fat. We talked about high fat, low protein. We're going to talk about fasting. Okay. Fasting is fan-freaking-tastic. Okay. But guess what? You don't need to do it. Okay. I see so many people come in and they walk in the door, and there's a lot of people in the space that say intermittent fasting and keto is great. Get that autophagy, right? Get all that good stuff. And it's fantastic. Intermittent fasting is fantastic. If you're going to do any kind of fasting, I would do intermittent fasting. I wouldn't do it in such a way that you're freaking out over the clock. Here's my intermittent fasting plan. Okay. The best intermittent fasting plan is just wait as long as possible when you get up in the morning to eat, and eat at least 3 or 4 hours before you go to bed. That's it. That's my intermittent fasting plan. Wait as long as possible when you get up before you eat, and then eat 3 or 4 hours before you go to bed. That's it. That's all you got to do. It does not have to be watching a clock and eating like, oh my God, I've only got 4 hours to eat. I got to get all this food in, right? Don't work. No. Guys, the idea behind changing your lifestyle is to keep it simple. Okay. Keep it simple. Don't freak out over stuff. If you feel like you're stressed over something that is supposed to be helping you improve your quality of life, think about that. Think about that statement. If you feel like you're stressing over something that is supposed to be helping you improve your quality of life, then there's probably something about that that doesn't fit. Okay. Adding stress and improving your quality of life are two opposite things. Okay. So don't do that. Okay. Take the stress out of it. Okay. And don't put butter in your coffee. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Here's the deal when it comes to fasting. Just like any biohack or anything that I any tool, okay? Because biohacks are tools that have a place. I don't think most people need to start with them. Okay. So if you're going to fast, I want to make sure that you are doing the basics first. You're getting your protein in, you're getting your exercise in, you're getting your sleep in, you're getting your nutrition in, right? You're not overdoing the fuel, you're not doing processed foods, you're not doing seed oils. Okay. All of these things that are the basics need to be in place first. If you get to that and you're not seeing the changes that you want to see, which I think you probably will, if you're doing all those things and you're still not seeing the progress you want to see after 4 to 6 to 8 weeks of being consistent doing those things, okay? Stalls don't happen in 3 weeks. Stalls and plateaus don't happen in 4 weeks. 4, 6, 8 weeks, if you haven't made a change, then you can think you're in a stall. Okay? Don't make a change after 4 weeks, guys. Give it time. Don't make a change after 4 weeks. Give it time. Okay. If you have all that stuff in place and then things aren't happening the way you want to happen, then you can look at some of the other stuff, right? Maybe fasting is a good idea. Maybe there's something in your schedule. Maybe it has nothing to do with a biohack. Maybe it's just your job is so stressful you need to take a freaking vacation, right? There's a lot of things that can play into it. Okay. And that's where joining the group coaching that we have every month or getting some coaching sessions with me, whatever it may be, joining the ultimate ketogenic fitness group and asking questions in there can be helpful in helping you figure out where to make your changes from there. Okay. Don't jump right into fasting because even if you do fasting, you still need to know what your macros are going to be, right? Because you can still do total caloric deficit. You can still do high fat, low protein. You can still do high protein, low fat while you're fasting. So you still need to have an understanding of what those are before fasting even comes into the conversation. Okay. Anybody have any questions before we drop off? That was a lot. I went way over the time that I was thinking I was going to go over, but I love talking about this stuff and I love questions you guys have. So if there's any other questions, please pop them in there. Let's see. We got don't put butter in my coffee from Joy. Heather says intermittent fasting doesn't work for her. Let's see. Stress-free is best. Yes, Yvette, stress-free is best. Right? Just remember, guys, if you're feeling stressed over something that's supposed to be improving your quality of life, don't change it. Relax. Keep it simple. Take a step back. Are you doing the basics first? Okay. If you go into, and I'll leave on this, if you're not a member of the Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness Group on Facebook, go join it now. In the featured pins, there is a featured post, a pinned post that talks about the process, okay, of determining if you've got the basics. Like, what are the things that you need to be doing as you go through here? If you don't have those things in line, then take a step back and get those things in line first. Okay, there's a set of basics. There's things that you can do. Are you adhering, right? Are you adhering to the program? Are you hitting your macros? Are you getting your sleep? Are you doing what you need to be doing in the first place? Are you cutting out processed foods? Are you eating keto treats all day long? Or are you eating foods that don't have a label? If it has a label, it shouldn't be going in your mouth. That's my general rule of thumb, especially if you're struggling to see progress. If you're struggling to see progress and you eat things that have labels, you're going to continue to struggle to see progress. That's just how it works. Okay. I have another video that I'm planning on doing. I'll get into that one a little bit more. Everything you eat has an effect on your body. There is no such thing as a net zero for anything that you put in your mouth. It is either a net positive or it is a net negative. There's no in between. Okay. All right. Take it easy, guys. I will see you next week. And yes, Joy, clean the scale. Clean the scale. Remember, when you clean your scales, just use water. Don't use any solvents or anything like that. A little bit of water, wipe it off, make sure there's no dust, and you're good to go. Okay. We don't want to soak it. We don't want to destroy the sensors. Just wipe them down real quick, and that's it. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Take it easy. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Share the video.